All right, well, let's get going. Thank you very much for your interest in BCIT Geomatics. I'm going to just touch on the program and career opportunities and things like that over the next little while here. So this is a good time to get into geomatics, and as you'll learn, BCIT has a very well-known, very recognized program. I myself am a graduate of this program from 1995, way back when. It was known as surveying and mapping rather than geomatics, but the core of the program has stayed the same, and it is widely recognized across the country and a great launching point for people to kickstart their career in geomatics. All right. So what is Geomatics? Well, as I just mentioned, the original name of the program, Geomatics is actually one of the original programs that started when BCIT first came online way back in 1964. Geomatics is now a bit of an encompassing umbrella term, and it's basically the acquiring and managing and presenting of geospatial and data in 2 and 3 dimensions. And there are a number of different, different disciplines and different sectors in geomatics. I myself am a British Columbia land surveyor, so my expertise is in boundary determination and that sort of thing. We'll dive into it, but there are many different disciplines, and we touch on and teach on all of them here in our program. So geomatics, so they're interrelated geospatial disciplines. So the first one, land surveying, which is basically the core of this program. Anything to do with property boundaries or real property. Hydrographic surveying, so that is surveys. You can see here on just in the sidebar here, there's the ship with the sonar scan. That's the basics of hydrographic surveying. Photogrammetry, which is digital mapping, cartography, remote sensing, geographic information systems. Then there's drones. There is laser scanning and point clouds. So many more disciplines. GIS, of course, at the bottom there is another one. So they're all interrelated. And really, once you get an education in the field, there are so many different areas that you can branch out into once you leave BCIT and go out into industry. So land surveying, so that is as a couple of different bullet points here, nicely laid out. So it's accurately locating existing features on the earth, precisely setting property boundaries, positioning proposed structures and other design features, and it's a combination of field and office work. So this is my area of expertise. So I've worked in all sorts of projects, from the smallest one of helping somebody locate where they should build a little shed in the back of their yard, to many of the big Olympica projects that were up and running about 15 years ago, or actually more than 15 years ago now. New houses, construction for all different types of projects, from houses to towers to roads, sewers, water lines, you name it. Precisely setting property boundaries. So that's anything to do with the legal surveys and all the plans that become a public record when they're filed at the Land Title and Survey Authority of BC, the Land Title Office in New Westminster. Positioning proposed structures and other design features. So people need to know what they're building and where they're building it. And people like myself are the ones that do all the work figuring out where it needs to be built in 2 and 3 dimensions. And there's a lot of work that goes into it. So it really is a combination of field and office work, and what it really depends which branch of land surveying you get into. Or really, I wouldn't say that there's a fixed 50-50 or 20-80 or whatever it might be. I think it's a little bit different for every company and where you get into it. I find it incredibly interesting and incredibly satisfying work. Before I came to BCIT a couple of years ago, I was very much enjoying my time in industry. This was an opportunity to work in post-secondary education that was too good to pass up. And it's great to be able to share my knowledge and experience with the next generation of professionals. But there's something just very satisfying about doing all the calculating. being able to take the information, be it design drawings, and then plotting it out, calculating where it's going to be laid out in the field, laying it out, and then watching it being constructed, and then at the end doing an as-built survey to confirm that the structure, whatever it might be, a road, a building, whatever it might be, has indeed been built in the correct place to the proper specifications, at least for location, and all the other work that goes along with that as well. So we'll go on to the next slide here. Just talking a little bit more, so more about the land surveying or legal land surveying or cadastral surveying. So it's defining legal boundaries for land ownership. So that could be just the property boundaries of a lot of land. It could be the strata property, so a townhouse. It could be a condominium. Those can be residential or commercial. So anything to do with real property boundaries or interests like easements or right-of-way, those must be done by a practicing British Columbia land surveyor in BC, and that changes obviously from province to province because there's different regulators in different provinces. So someone who, like myself, that has gone through the education, has gone and done all the qualifying exams, and then been found fit to practice professionally. So some of the things we do is determine where property lines are with mark ownership in land. Building for building construction, so both residential and commercial, rights of ways for roads, power lines, and pipelines. I've worked on some very interesting remote jobs for hydro projects, and final condominium measurements before sale. So a quarter of the properties in BC, or roughly one quarter, are strata properties. So those are condominiums, townhouses, anything like that. And before they can raise title, somebody has to go in there, measure them, determine how big they are. There's a lot of different things. If anybody lives in a strata, you'll know all about like your strata fees. Those are all, that's just one of the things that are derived from a land surveyor's measurement. So not just the plans we do, it's really the foundation of a lot of different things. Strata was one of my real niche, well, not even real niche, it was a real core part of my practice before I switched to BCIT. Some people find it rather time-consuming work, but I really enjoyed the challenge of it. It can just sometimes be a little bit high pressure, but that's what we get paid to do. And again, I find it very interesting and really rewarding work to do out in industry. So some of the other things, so land surveying, topographic surveys. So that's determining relief and elevations on a property. So that's the first step in the design process. Whatever might be going on there in terms of construction and engineering, if it's going to be a building, a road, whatever it might be, some other structure, the engineers, the architects, they need to know what's on the land, how big the land is, if there's any unique features on the land. You can see in the bottom here, there's some rocks, then there's water, so there's a natural boundary. All these sort of things that are very important to know, not just from the practical point of designing a structure and building it, but also some of the unique things that may limit where you, how you build and where you build on a piece of property. A natural boundary is one. Then, of course, things like easements and covenants, things that their interest on land that they would limit where you can place a structure on a piece of property. So we do this in a number of different ways. One is a total station, which you can see a picture. There's a couple of students there in the top right-hand corner. They have a total station, GNSS, so Global Navigation Satellite Systems, or GPS as it's better known as. So a GNSS is a car, GPS is a brand, just like a Ford is a brand of a car. So anyways, we use the GPS a lot from day to day to collect field data, and that's just as, in many cases, just as accurate and just as good as the total station data for many applications. And basically what happens at the end is all that data is created. You can create a topographic plan in hard or soft copy. It just really depends who the end user is. Typically, municipalities will want to see hard copies, whereas other consultants will want the soft copy. So an AutoCAD file, point files, and things like that. That'll have all the geospatial features on there and the different relationships between existing features. And that's the that's where it all starts. It doesn't matter if we're building a house or we're building a stadium, a road, a bridge. It all starts somewhere, and it usually starts with a phone call or an email to someone like myself from an engineer, whoever it might be, saying this is the project that we have, this is the information we have, and we need you to go and get it. So engineering and construction, so construction layouts. You can see here there's a couple of different things going on. We've got a tunnel, we've got a big multi-story, looks like a mixed-use building up on the top. It looks like it's got residential, probably in the low-rise portion. You're going to have ground floor commercial, and then some office space, commercial units in there. Then the bottom picture is actually part of the BCIT campus, so some construction. So construction layout is something that we do a lot, and it can always be a little bit challenging because often you have everything ready before you go out onto the site, and you talk to the people that are working on the site, and they ask for additional information, and you've got to calculate it and not make a mistake, and then lay it out and not make a mistake. Usually when there's lots of people and lots of very, very expensive equipment sitting idle and somebody's asking you to hurry up, so there's always a little bit of pressure in there. But these kind of jobs, despite that sort of thing happening, very interesting, very cool to work on, to be around when all the changes are, when the construction is underway. We'll lay out things like building corners or certain features that they need, or grid lines, where we basically set up different markers, which they can then use to. The grid lines are basically like a big grid, which they can then use offsets to determine where specific things need to be built. Another part is monitoring large structures for movement or deformation. So things like bridges and roads, buildings, tunnels, ports, ship construction even, and pipelines. And then you get into that world of precision monitoring, which is quite a niche skill and a discipline. We've got several courses that dive into that world, and that's very, very fascinating work, and very, very meticulous. All right, so hydrographic surveying. So hydrographic surveyors produce maps and nautical charts of water bodies, so oceans, lakes and rivers, harbor channels, narrow straits. So the technology involved in a hydrographic survey involves GNSS receivers, echo sounders, side scan sonar systems to locate and identify objects below water surfaces. And that will give you a very accurate 3D determination of the seabed or lake bed or riverbed, whatever it might be. Got a picture there just on the right-hand side that is a nice little snapshot of a nautical chart. And of course, it's very difficult to see what's underwater. It's dark and murky most of the time, and it really is quite incredible to see some of the features that are uncovered during the course of a hydrographic survey. We have a couple of instructors on the faculty that have worked to have industry experience in hydrography, so we've got the bases covered there as well. So mapping technology. So we're collecting, in that case, geospatial data to accurately represent the Earth's surface. So that can be aerial photographs. So there's a picture there of a plane on the top right-hand side. So terrestrial photographs will be something similar. There's one there that looks like a church or a really old building there in the middle. That would be captured. That's from a laser scan, but a terrestrial photograph would be if that image was actually taken with a camera. So manned aircraft and drones, so unmanned aircraft systems, or RPAS is the more modern term, so remotely piloted aircraft systems. So we have at BCIT the RPAS hub, who's run by my colleague Dr. Eric Saksak, and that is a really, really fascinating area to work in. I'm actually working on my drone pilot license and all those micro credentials, something I've been wanting to do for for quite a long time. But other sources of geospatial data for mapping is satellite imagery, LiDAR, and laser scans. We have a brand new laser scanning course that just rolled out this past September. So we're trying to stay as up to date and as current as possible. But scanners, drones, those are always really fascinating projects. I was out last week at Boundary Bay Airport in Delta with one of our degree students who was doing a 3D scanning project for his capstone project, and that involved laser scanning all the runways and the aprons and the taxiways at Boundary Bay Airport using a very specialized 3D laser scanner, which was very cool. It was similar if you've seen one of the Google Street View cars that has the camera mounted on top. Similar idea. The equipment itself was different than the Google Street View, but it was really cool to watch. Over the course of half a day, we collected billions of points of data to accurately model what we're going to get a digital twin. So basically, a digital representation or a digital model of the runways at Boundary Bay Airport, which they'll then use to determine what the state the runways are in, because now it's done all visually. So this will give them a very accurate model of the states of the runway. So that was very interesting to be able to participate and work on, because the equipment itself, the laser scanner, was a very specialized piece of equipment. There's only a couple of them that I know of in Canada, or at least in Western Canada, and the price tag on that piece of laser scanning equipment was about somewhere between $1 and $1.5 million. So very high-end stuff. So once you've got all that information collected, there are very specialized pieces of hardware and software that we use to analyze, to process, and then display the data. And the key in that is it's said at the end for custom use. There's so many different ways that that data can be extracted and presented, and it really comes down to the end user and what their specific needs are. There's so many different ways the data can be collected and presented. It can almost be done in a bespoke and custom way for the end users. So photogrammetry, so that's the remote collection of geospatial data. So we're getting those images from aerial and satellite means. So aerial, obviously planes or drones. So this is used a lot in resources exploration and development. So mining, oil and gas. So oil and gas is a big thing in BC, especially up north. Forestry, so for inventory or route location. Archaeology, movies. Unfortunately, I've never had the opportunity to work in the movie sector, but quite a few people that I know, friends and colleagues in the industry, have had that opportunity. And also forensics, so crime scenes, collision analysis. Sometimes when there's unfortunately a very big traffic accident, when they shut down the road, the RCMP, for example, they have their own unit that will take, used to use total stations, but nowadays they use 3D laser scanners, and they go out and collect that data to get a very accurate picture of what happened at the scene of an accident, for example. Okay, so what's it like? So working outdoors. So I can testify to this this first bullet point. So you can travel and work across Canada and abroad. I've worked in all corners of BC, right from downtown Vancouver up to the Peace River country up in Fort St. John in the oil patch, and everywhere, all four corners from there. So it's often remote work, and I've gone into jobs on snowmobiles. I've gone into jobs on boats, on float planes, on ATVs, all those sorts of things. So that's not the case for everyone, but certainly if you're an adventurous person, there are lots of companies that do that remote work. That's the kind of thing that I enjoyed. As I got a little bit more, as I got older, I started to enjoy the opportunity of working close to home and getting involved in projects more in places like downtown Vancouver, Central City, and Surrey, working on these bigger scale construction, residential or commercial buildings. But certainly, if you've got an adventurous spirit, there are many people doing some really interesting jobs out and all over the province and the country. I've had the opportunity even to work in Europe as well, so it's really taken me all over the place. And when I talk to my other colleagues on the other faculty members, literally everybody's worked on every corner from all around the world. So there's work to be had and projects to be had almost wherever you can think of. So working indoors, so we collect a lot of the data. So a lot of the information, even just using a total station, just collecting what I call like normal or traditional survey data. A proficient crew can pick up several hundred points or more in a day just using a total station. If you're using a 3D laser scanner, a high definition scanner, I mean, you're picking up millions or billions of points of data during the course of a day. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done, a lot of checks that need to be done, a lot of calculations that need to be done with the data. And the first thing is, first of all, we have to analyze and make sure that the data is correct, that it's usable. And then once those checks have been performed and work has been determined or the data is determined that it's passed all the quality control checks, then you have to do something with it. So quite often before the survey crew will even leave the job site, they will do some routine calculations just to make sure that there's no blunders or errors. So this is sort of tailgate stuff you do sitting on the back of your truck or in the, at a site office or something like that. There's a lot of research that you need to do to research projects. So through the Land Title and Survey Authority of BC, collecting titles and historic records of surveys and plans. Sometimes you need some of the original field notes of surveys, and you can get those from the Crown Vault in Victoria. BC is, I mean, by our standard, it feels kind of old, but by a lot of standards of lots of other countries around the world, it isn't. But having said that, you can go into the Crown Vault and pull out notes from surveys that were done in the late 1800s into the 1900s, and that's a pretty common thing. And then if you like software and you've got an aptitude for computers, and especially nowadays AI, there's so many cool different software packages and different bits of hardware that you can use to process your survey data and to do the work. It's very, very, very cool stuff. And then again, before the work is plotted out as a digital or even a hard copy, there's lots of checks that need to be made, especially before you complete a legal survey plan and you sign off on it. And then it is registered for deposit at the Land Title and Survey Authority. There's a lot of stuff that needs to be done. So every hour spent in the field, generates a couple of hours additional work in the office. So working for a Geomatics company, there's going to be opportunities to do both. And quite often, if you're working on a project, you'll get to work on several different aspects of it. Sometimes you're the only person. If you work for one of the smaller companies, you could be working out in the field, doing all the drafting, doing all the calculating, and all those things as well. So another thing that we need to stay up to date on is statute law, case law. So we have to be, statutes change from time to time. So all the governing legislation for legal surveys, for example, the Land Act or the Land Title Act, Strata Property Acts, those change from time to time. Then there's the survey and plan rules, which govern how the surveys are conducted and the standards around the surveys and things like that. Bylaws when it's coming to things like house layouts and when it's coming to subdivision design, because lots have to be a certain size and certain width and depth and all sorts of stuff. So at times we're historians, we're mathematicians, we're technicians, land surveyors and geomatics professionals really touch all over many different areas during the course of your day at the office or out in the field. Okay, so what sort of background do you need? So you need an interest in applied sciences. You have to be active and enjoy the outdoors. Most people, that seems to be the one thing that they really like. Some people see the opportunity of working out in the field as a doorway to just learning more about the what happens, and then working getting into the office. If you like to travel, those opportunities are there. And if you don't, if you like the 9 to 5 and you want to come home every night, there's lots of companies close to home as well. You got to be a team player, though. There are a lot of things going on in the course of the survey or any geomatics project, and that doesn't count for what's happening inside your own company internally. But Surveyors and geomatics professionals are usually the part of a team of consultants. As a professional land surveyor, I typically interact a lot with civil engineers, like almost on a daily basis, architects, code consultants, lawyers, planning officials at municipalities. It just goes on and on and on. You have to be independent and flexible because, unlike some other jobs and other professions, every job is more or less unique. The only time that it really gets kind of routine is with house layout, and if you have similar houses and you're laying them out for construction, those are about the only ones you can really accurately give a time that's going to take, it's going to take X amount of hours to lay out this house or whatever it might be. Each job is unique. You got to be a problem solver because there's so many different things that happen out in reality, out in the real world, and it really takes somebody that is willing to dive into things and really look for the answers. And there's often different ways that you're going to get the answer. Sometimes it's through field measurements and through field survey. Other times it's going through and processing and interpreting data. Sometimes it's research of historical documents. There's so many different things that will give you the answer, and you have to be able to persist and to be able to understand the data that you're looking at. Also, you got to be technology minded. So we can see here on the right hand side, there's a couple of pictures in the middle. So the fellow with the red and black and white jacket, that's Eric Saksak. He's our RPAS hub lead. So Eric, not only does he teach all the drone courses and micro credentials, but he's does works in industry and does a lot of work for different First Nations. He's been all over the world doing stuff, and he started just as an instructor in the program, and he's built this amazing program on the side. And the technology is really cool when it comes to drones. Also on the survey side, we have like the fully robotic total station. So if you like being independent and you're working for a company that has a total robotic station, and most companies have many of them nowadays, it's you basically have it follows you around, and you basically control it remotely. And it's very, very cool technology. Then the laser scanners, a lot of the software, a lot of the hardware, it's cutting edge stuff. And unfortunately, not enough people really know about it and really understand what we do, because that's one of the things I enjoy, is being able to get my hands on some of this really amazing technology, both hardware and software, and be able to do things. You see at the bottom on the right hand side is a 3D model of the BCIT campus. So that's was all captured using drones and the different sensors and that they can carry as payloads, and then eventually processed, and we have all that information. It's very, very cool stuff. So the benefits. So I would say that this slideshow is a little bit understated. Those hourly wages I would say are somewhat understated by more than a little bit, and also the six-figure salaries for like a professional land surveyor. I would say all of those numbers are on the low side by quite a bit. It is a very, very well-paying career. People are making very, very good livings working in surveying and geomatics. Most people that come into it like the opportunity of being able to balance that outdoor survey work with the office side, and the fact that most people's days are never really truly the same, unless perhaps all you do is field work, and even the field work, 2 days are alike. And perhaps if all you're doing is just office work, and sure, you're going to be processing inside, but every day it's something different. The thing that I like was the opportunity of balancing getting out into the field, going to do the field work, and then getting the opportunity to work with it, to process the data, to do the drafting, whatever it might be. And although that did diminish a little bit over time as I took on more of a project manager role, but that was more of my own decision rather than anything else. And then another perk, of course, is the opportunity to travel both within this wonderful province of BC, within the country, and even further beyond. Okay, so the path at BCIT. So we've got two programs. We've got the 2-year Diploma of Technology, and then we have our 2-year Bachelor of Science program. So basically, what happens is that unless you're somebody that has a degree or some sort of post-secondary education, we do have a direct entry program where you could take a couple of patch courses or a micro credential in the spring and summer, and then go second year of the diploma. Otherwise, most people will come in as long as they meet the entry requirements to get into first year, and go through that 2-year program to earn their Geomatics diploma or diploma of technology. From there, if you have the you meet the minimum grades, you have the minimum GPA, then you can ladder into the Bachelor of Science program, which then is an additional 2 years. And that really goes, not necessarily, but most people that are in the degree program want to pursue a career as a professional, um, as like any other profession, be it law or engineering, medicine, or whatever it is. If you want a professional credential, you need that minimum bachelor's degree to get that credential. So most people that are in the degree program want to become a BCLS like myself, or a similar credential in another jurisdiction across the country. But the diploma program is really where it starts. It's a very hands-on program. It can be fast-paced at times, but I've noticed it, and I'm a testament to it because I've seen the power that BCIT credential gives you as a graduate and somebody looking for a job, then somebody on the job, and then working with other people in industry, many of whom were also BCIT grads. Then was a more senior, was in charge of hiring people. I You can tell the difference that a BCIT grad has because they're ready to go. You can put them to work right away, and it's a very seamless integration. So I've seen it from all aspects. Now, as somebody that works in the program as an instructor, as the program head, I can see the progression in the students when they come in September of every year, not knowing anything, and seeing that progression very quickly. And we're now coming up to the end of our academic year. So our first year students will soon be, most of them are going out to get summer jobs. And they will find over the next 3 months, even after 1 year, how very well prepared they are. And then after 2 years, they have a really solid foundation, a really good education under their belts, and they'll go on to be successful in industry. It's very interesting when I see a lot of the people that are industry leaders around BC, how many of them that I learn over time have a degree from BCIT Geomatics, and I see these people popping up time and time again in these very prominent positions, and a very large proportion of them have come through this program over the years. Okay, so that's just a couple of, I've explained the first two bullet points there. We do have various part-time studies that run around the year. So in the fall, the spring, and the winter, even the summer, they run the evenings, the weekends, and a lot of the courses that we're doing in our part-time studies are online as well. So it gives some flexibility to people that are working or have other commitments and need some flexibility. The part-time studies, that's changed. It's no longer part-time studies. It's now flexible learning. So if that's what you're looking for, then look up flex learning, or just Google that, and that'll get to where you're at. We just have our next round of part-time courses will actually be starting up. Actually, they're starting up this week. We've had the first couple, and then there's kind of a staggered rollout over the next couple of weeks. And then we'll have we're hoping to run what we call our direct entry program, which culminates in a 2-week survey camp in the summer, where the people enrolled in that course will come to campus every day for 2 weeks to do the fieldwork portion of that, which is a bit of a change, where it was kind of one weekend or one Saturday, for several months. So we're looking forward to see how this new format works for direct entry. Okay, so this is just a list of the current faculty. So myself, I'm the program head. James is the program coordinator. So We're both instructors as well, so we're very, very busy. James and I, in addition to instructing, help keep the program running. I have very deep ties to industry around BC. James also has some really good connections outside of BCIT. I take care of more of the external stuff, and then also the connections within BCIT when it comes to curriculum, and liaising with people like the dean's office and things like that. And James really helps put together the day-to-day functioning. So we work as a team. Sean has a background in hydrography, and everybody else has lots of it. And Mohammed Abdul Salam has as well. We have a very, very experienced, and lots of our instructors have multiple credentials. So we have the expertise. I mean, there's hundreds of years of industry experience when you take all these different instructors, all these different faculty members together. So we're able to translate our experience and pass that on to our students to their benefit as well. And quite a number of the people that are faculty members, including myself, are graduates from this program, and it's really been it's been an incredible experience. Everything I hope to achieve after graduating, I've been able to do that and more. Okay, so our entrance requirements actually fairly reasonable. So grade 11 physics is a prerequisite, so there's 50%. We're kind of low on that because we do teach, you do physics all your first year in the diploma program. It's quite a bit different than your high school physics, and it's very geomatics focused. And I found it, and our students still find it pretty challenging compared to the high school variation. But that's all good. Grade 12 English or English language proficiency. Then you're going to need your pre-calc 12. So that's for the diploma program. And then the bachelor's program, you're going to need to complete the diploma program with a minimum 65% GPA. And I don't want to scare anyone off, but that actually is a little bit harder than it sounds. The basic takeaway from this is that geomatics is very, very math intensive. You've got to be very good at math, both with and without a calculator. There's just no way around it. There's a lot of math that you're going to be doing in all levels. If it doesn't matter if you're just going through the first and second year just to do the diploma, or if you're going, intend to do the entire 4-year program, math is going to be part of it because it doesn't disappear when you get out into industry. It's the core of whatever we do, and you have to learn how to do it by hand, so you know how the information is processed, how data is displayed and outputted, basically, so you know that the information you're creating, you're deriving from through software is indeed correct. And it's just something, if you don't like math, I'm afraid this is probably not the program for you. So we have our advanced placement, which I mentioned just now. So that's usually for people that have a degree in science, engineering, geography, geology, math, or have 2 years of university of college. So you need at least 60 credit hours with 200 level math and 100 level physics and English. And then, so this involves those 3 courses. They're all introductory courses for field or survey comps, or survey computations, I should say. Usually runs in July and August. So we're changing that right now. Those are kind of going through a bit of a modernization, but that's basically what it is. Mostly people that are eligible for that will have to go through a PLARS, or prior learning assessments, and we can then verify whether or not they are able to go through. It is a good way if you have some prior education that you don't need to complete 2 years of the program. So if you have that prior education, you qualify for direct entry. You could earn your Bachelor's of Science in 3 years rather than 4. So we've got a lot of different resources here. So we try to keep the most, or stock and have on hand some of the latest and greatest equipment. So GNSS total stations, laser scanners, and drones. We have several dedicated academic spaces and computer labs with with lots of the industry standard software packages out there. We have some very generous industry sponsors and partners that donate their software to the program so the students can get access to it. So by the time you come through BCIT after 2 or 4 years, doesn't really make a difference which program you go through, that you'll have seen and have this experience with a lot of the different pieces of equipment and various software packages that people are using out, excuse me, in industry. And as I previously mentioned on that other slide, where with all the faculty, we usually have about 14 full-time staff that teach. Not just in our program, I also teach the surveying for civil engineering. We teach mining, GIS, lots of different programs, forestry as well. We teach into all of those programs. Geomatics has quite a footprint, both inside and outside of the campus, and the industry experience and educational backgrounds of the faculty members is really quite extensive. All right, just a couple of things about BCIT itself. So we have a medical center on campus for students. We have a fitness center and a gym. There's a sports field, tennis and squash courts, climbing wall. That's all free for students. A campus bookstore, the student association, and there's the TNT store for school supplies. There's counseling, financial assistance, student residences. So there's the traditional residences on campus, the Tall Timbers building, which will provide, I think, another 300 units for students. That is really in the advanced stage of construction. So that will be completed sooner rather than later. So the cost is about $600 a month for housing costs. There's also a pub on campus as well. There's a lot of good facilities on campus for students as well. So you'll be busy as a student at BCIT, but there's lots of pleasant distractions and ways to blow steam off as well. So some of the academic resources is there's scheduled peer tutoring. So the peer tutoring is usually some of our students that from the more senior levels of the program. So each of the instructors, we have to make ourselves available a minimum of 5 hours in office time per week. And that is the bare minimum. And you'll never have any troubles getting hold of one of your instructors. If they're not up in the office when you need to talk to them, send them a message and they'll make it work, because we're here to help people succeed and make the most of their education at BCIT. You have accessibility services for students who need support for medical or other issues they might be experiencing, counseling, library. There's Indigenous services. We're a very inclusive space, and we want to make sure that whoever comes to BCIT can do so and experience BCIT and enjoy it, whoever they are and wherever they're coming from. We're here to welcome you on board and really make sure that you get the most out of your time at BCIT. All right, so some of the costs, so that I've checked, they haven't really changed too much, but sometimes that can be a little bit of a moving target. So unfortunately, things seem to go up, increase in price all the time, often at the blink of an eye. I'm just speaking generally, not necessarily BCIT. But tuition is about $3,500 per term or semester. So then your student association fees are $400 per term. So that includes medical and dental coverage. Your UPass is $44 a month. Then there's other things like your ID card and other fees. That's usually about $125 a term. There's different supplies that you'll need. So your calculator, field supplies, vests. Usually there's a bit more of an upfront cost. We try to, if we can facilitate purchases, can run about $450 to $600, but we try to put it at the beginning of the program in first year. So you're not having to lay out lots of money for supplies and things that in January and then September again the next year. So textbooks and other academic textbooks and things like that, about $400 a year. And then your student association and the student center fee, that's $80. There's a lot of scholarships and bursaries. And there's a lot of money coming into the program for students that perform very well academically. The people in the industry, they like giving money to students. There's no shortage of that. So if you're able to keep your grades up and you're a good all-rounded person, then you have a very strong case to be awarded a scholarship, and some of them are very, very generous. Well into four figures. Big sums of money. So once you graduate, so BCIT Technology Diploma leads to a membership with ASTTBC. So students who maintain a mark of 60% or higher across the bachelor's program are eligible from exemption from CBEPS, so the Canadian Board of Examiners for Professional Surveyors. So that's the gateway into the world of professional licensure as a BC Land Surveyor, Canada Land Surveyor, etc. That's changing slightly. There's different things going on, and our program is adapting to that, and then accreditation with the CBEPS, and then all the other regulatory bodies that are affected by that. So we're staying on top of that. And then ABCLS and ACLS, they have roots, and this doesn't matter which jurisdiction, it's from coast to coast. There are specified routes for graduates that come out of the bachelor's program, how to complete that and then get your commission as a professional land surveyor. It usually involves 2 years of articling, then a couple of field projects, two parts of professional exams and a professional assessment interview. So you're going to be tacking on another 3 or 4 years of time to prepare for that. But there's only 350 practicing land surveyors in the province. 3 of us are on the faculty at BCIT. It is you won't be looking for a job again once you have your commission. I have people calling me constantly and offering to or trying to lure me away from BCIT. So the extra time is worth the time and effort to get your commission if that is your goal. Some additional resources. So CBEPS, if you can just Google CBEPS, they've got it's bilingual, so that's why hence you have the little bit more complicated URL. abcls.ca, ALSA, Alberta Land Surveyors Association, I speak with them quite a bit. Canadian Institute of Geomatics, ACLS, so the Association of Canada Land Surveyors, and then BCIT Geomatics website. That's a little bit long. If you just type in bcit.ca/geomatics, that will take you right to where you want to be. And there's a lot more detail on the program, the courses, the faculty. There's a lot of information up on bcit.ca/geomatics. So if you want to get in touch, if you have any questions about the full-time program, so some of these have just changed with some faculty members and people moving in and out of the department. So the best way is either just to get in touch with me directly, so Mark_Dailey at bcit.ca, or call me at 604-432-8627. Part-time studies, you can just send a message to Arian, Geomatics at bcit.ca, and she will put you into contact with our part-time studies coordinator, because that's just all. There's been some change in the composition of the faculty recently, so we have to confirm some of these new positions. But just get in touch with me or Geomatics at bcit.ca, and we will put you in contact with the proper person. And that is it. I'm just going to thank you all for coming, and I'm just going to now stop the recording, and I'll answer any questions if anybody has any questions.